All right, we're gonna make biscuits. This is the biscuit recipe that I found to work. You're wanting Hudson cream self-rising flour, 2 cups worth. We're gonna be using light mayonnaise. We're gonna use 2 tablespoons of light mayonnaise. We have a tablespoon of sugar, a teaspoon of salt, and you need a biscuit cutter or a fork is just fine. Gonna be needing a measuring spoon for your salt and sugar. You're going to need a cup measure. You're also going to need some butter and some milk. Here's some cubed up butter that I've cut up. You want it to be as cold as it can be. And my milk is not in here. You said, oh, there. We need 2 cups of the self-rising flour. Again, Hudson cream seems to be the best kind that we've been able to work this recipe with. Level off 2 cups. This is what we would call for one recipe of biscuits. Sometimes we double it and it works just fine. So then after you've got your flour in the bowl, you're going to put in your salt and your sugar. Give that a stir around with your fork or a biscuit cutter if you have one. We're going to be needing 2 tablespoons of mayonnaise. So 2 tablespoons of mayonnaise. Just get in there. 2 tablespoons out. This doesn't have to be super exact. I like to cut this in. Look here. We want to mix it all in, trying to get the fat covered up with flour. This is just the beginning process here. The very next thing that we're going to be doing is I took a half a stick of butter and I cut it up into small cubes, like pea-sized cubes, and we're going to be putting that in now. Cubes. I'm going to put that in. The mayonnaise is in. This is a little bit time consuming. You have to just cut this into the flour. And everybody always says that when you get through with this, it should look like cornmeal. It kind of just, we don't want to see any real big chunks of flour, just small little bits. I like for it to be really kind of incorporated good. So take your time and kind of mash it in. So the finished mix, dry mix, looks like this with the fat in it. There's chunks of butter, and you kind of have a good texture about it. There's lots of fat in there. It smells like mayonnaise because we've got mayonnaise in there. Now goes the milk, 1 cup of milk. It could be buttermilk, but we just haven't found that it makes that much of a difference. Just start mixing it together in the center here. Just mixing it together until it kind of, we want to just do it kind of fast, but without kind of just cutting everything together. Just bring it together, kind of chop it through with a spatula or a spoon. It gets to where, very quickly, it gets to where it's just a glob of stuff right here, or just a glob of biscuit dough, just like that. Okay, it's to touch. It's kind of, it's very tacky. But it's ready to be turned out now. All-purpose flour out on your workspace. Flour your hands. Get some of this dough scraped out of there onto the workspace, your table. There's going to be a lot stuck around. Get some flour in your hands and kind of work that off. Pat the top of it real good with a little bit of flour. Get off whatever usable dough you can get. Okay, now this is just a very, very little bit of kneading, okay? This is not like making a pizza dough or something where you have a lot of kneading, just a couple of folds. Just bring it over and fold it down. Make sure to spread the flour back around, that there's not a lot of, you don't want it sticking to your table. Make sure the flour is good and spread out. When it gets to a couple of folds like that, that's good. That's what we want to see right there. Rolling pin covered with flour. Make sure there's some more flour around. Okay, you just want to roll these out just a little bit. Make sure that you're rolling to a surface that's got flour on it. Just like that right there. I'm going to take a mason jar, dip it in the flour. It's what I like to cut with. Don't play around with it. Just boom, boom, boom. Push it down. It kind of pops them back out for you. We're going to pull off this extra dough and make some more. Got to get my pan ready for my biscuits to go down. Just put a generous portion of vegetable oil on here, on this pan, and kind of run it around. Get it to be good, and this pan to be good and coated. What this is going to do with this cold oil is it's going to kind of fry the bottom of your biscuit a little bit when you kind of get that crispy bottom on it. Now the biscuits that I have ready, pulled off of here, are going to go into this pan side by side. Alright, this is the rest of the dough that I've got here. So this, even though this is like the scraps from the first round, this is going to get us a couple more biscuits out of here. Just 2 more biscuits, and then we'll pull together the fluff, get those on the pan. There might be 1 more biscuit in there. Just kind of pat it down. We're going to have to roll at this point. Sometimes these are the best ones. An extra piece of dough that's too small to make a biscuit worth. I just don't worry about it, throw it away. Alright, we've got the biscuits already on there. The biscuits we've got. Flick them with a little bit of water. You can use buttermilk too. Just kind of flick them to help the surface. Going into a 400-degree oven for 20 minutes. This is a board scraper. You could use just about anything, but it's off. These are not all that expensive and very useful for cleaning your counter back off. Anytime you're making any kind of dough, you've got flour and stuff everywhere. This is going to make it real easy. Just scrape it down and put your trash can down here on the end and right off into the trash. Easy clean up. Don't have flour and dough everywhere.
Alright, we've got our biscuits in the oven, so while our biscuits are baking, we're going to go ahead and we're going to start our gravy on a medium to high heat. You use bulk sausage. We get our sausage local, but you can get it in the grocery store. Tennessee Pride mild sausage is a very good sausage for gravy. Really, it's just a matter of personal preference. But it's in the little tube. And a lot of times for one recipe, I just use half the tube. If I'm not mistaken, the tube is a pound. This is a half a pound of bulk sausage. Now we're just going to break this up and get it browning. I don't really add any seasoning until the gravy is just about done. I'll add like salt and pepper because this sausage is already seasoned, so I just season at the very end.
We'll come back when it's brown.
This sausage that we buy crumbles really well on its own just as it's cooking. The commercial sausage that you get in the store, you're probably going to have to work a little bit more. But wooden spoon is great for this just because it's a very sturdy utensil. And as you're cooking the sausage, it'll break it up a lot easier. Just try to, again, this is personal preference. I like a finer texture to my sausage gravy. I like small crumbles, that's just me. Some people like bigger chunks. Whatever you prefer is what you want to make. You can't really go wrong there. As you can see, there's actually a good bit of fat that has rendered off of this sausage. This is going to help you make your roux, which is equal parts fat and flour. It's going to help thicken your gravy. But for flavor, as well as just for more thickening, I always keep a jar or a glass full of bacon fat in the fridge, and this is exactly what I use it for. And I'm going to add probably just like a couple tablespoons because there's a good bit of fat already in the pan.
And melt that bacon fat down.
Yep.
Be sure to check out part 2, Biscuits and Gravy part 2 coming up.